severe weather warnings across northern Australia, an extreme heatwave building through the southeast, 2 tropical systems still active, and thunderstorm potential right through Queensland. That's the picture for this week. Multiple weather systems are converging across the continent right now. And if you've been following the conditions over the long weekend, you will know we are dealing with some significant patterns that deserve your attention. Right now, conditions across Australia couldn't be more varied. Darwin copped 77 millimetres overnight. Brisbane already hit 34 degrees by mid-morning, humid and uncomfortable. Meanwhile, down south, temperatures are climbing towards extreme levels that we haven't seen in quite some time. Let's start up north where the immediate concerns are. Tropical low 18U, which has been sitting over far north Queensland, has deviated significantly from its forecast track. The models had this system recurving around the Gulf of Carpentaria coastline and heading northwest. That hasn't happened. Instead, it tracked further east and southeast, currently positioned somewhere between Normanton and Richmond. This change in track matters. It means heavier rainfall than anticipated across the Cassowary coast and far north Queensland. Overnight, we saw falls between 150 to 300 millimetres through pockets of the lower Herbert and upper Herbert regions. This morning, heavy rainfall and thunderstorm activity is streaming into areas around Rolling Stone and the Paluma Dam. Townsville in for a wet day. Showers and thunderstorms moving through consistently. Cairns will see some activity as well, but less intense than what Townsville copping. The concern here isn't just the rainfall itself. If you look at the satellite imagery, there is rotation visible in the cloud structure just north of Hughenden and Richmond. That's a worry because we've got major flooding already ongoing in these areas. The Richmond River, the Flinders River, all flowing out into the Gulf of Carpentaria. These river systems are getting more rainfall this morning. They'll get more tomorrow. They'll get more Wednesday. And they're already struggling. The flood camera network up in northwestern Queensland tells the story. The Little Bino River, which rose to nearly reach the flood camera over 3 weeks ago, still has massive amounts of water. Normally, this water level drops 30 to 50 centimetres a day. Last night, it dropped 5 centimetres. That's how much the recent rainfall is already impacting the system. This rainfall isn't easing anytime soon. The tropical low is expected to reattach to the monsoon trough. What that means is an inflow feature developing that will continue driving shower and thunderstorm activity through far north Queensland. Moderate to locally heavy rainfall today and tomorrow across the Cassowary coast. Then moderate to locally heavy falls Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday into the Daintree area, possibly extending back to the Cassowary coast as well. Grand totals could reach 500 millimetres on top of what already fallen this long weekend. That paints a picture of potential flooding through the Cassowary coast. Likely to be minor if it occurs, but we've already seen significant jumps in creek crossings and water levels. More flooding here and there is expected. For those in these affected areas, this is the wet season. You know the drill. But the persistence of this system and the flooding that's already in place means you need to stay vigilant. Check the Bureau of Meteorology flood warnings daily. If it flooded, forget it. Never drive through flood water. The roads you know well can change dramatically with flood conditions. Now let's shift south and talk about what developing across southeastern Australia. An extreme heat wave is building. And here's where it gets interesting from a meteorological perspective. This heat is being driven by cold fronts. Sounds contradictory, but stick with me. A series of weak cold fronts is forecast to brush the south coast of Australia over the coming days. These are low pressure systems rotating clockwise in the southern hemisphere. When you've got systems like that positioned along the southern coast, the northern and eastern flanks drag air from the interior. That means hot northerly and northwesterly winds. Where the hottest air, typically, the Pilbara region of Western Australia. When you get northwesterly winds, that air moves from the northwest down to the southeast. What southeast of the Pilbara, Adelaide, Melbourne, Canberra, Sydney. That's the mechanism driving this heat wave. The numbers are significant. Adelaide is looking at 43 degrees Wednesday, 44 Thursday, Melbourne 42 Wednesday, 43 Thursday. These are extreme temperatures. Canberra could see 41 degrees. Even Tasmania won to escape, with Hobart reaching 35 degrees, which is well above normal. Southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales are also in the firing line. Brisbane S forecast top is 36 degrees, but western suburbs like Ipswich could see 38 or 39 degrees. Further inland, temperatures climbing into the low 40s across the scenic rim and parts of the Darling Downs. Warwick and Toowoomba both expecting 40 degrees. These aren't just uncomfortable temperatures. These are dangerous conditions. And they persisting over multiple days. Wednesday through Friday, this heat sits over southeastern Australia. That S3 days of extreme conditions. For those of you who remember the 2009 heatwave that preceded Black Saturday, you will recognise this pattern. I'm not suggesting we re-heading for those conditions, but the meteorology is similar. A blocking high pressure system to the east, weak frontal systems to the south, northerly winds dragging desert heat over populated areas. The fire danger is going to be significant. With temperatures this high, humidity dropping and northerly winds picking up, the Forest Fire Danger Index climbs rapidly. Check the fire danger ratings from your local rural fire service. If total fire bans are declared, follow them strictly. Catastrophic fire danger means leaving early is the only safe option. Don T, stay and defend. For elderly neighbours and mates, this heat is particularly dangerous. Check on them daily. Make sure they've got air conditioning or at least fans running. Hydration is critical. Heat exhaustion and heat stroke can develop quickly in these conditions. Livestock need attention as well. Make sure water troughs are full. Provide shade where possible. Stock in feedlots are particularly vulnerable. Now back to Queensland and the thunderstorm potential. Today, Australia Day, thunderstorms are unlikely across southeast Queensland despite the heat and humidity. The reason is atmospheric capping. Think of it as a plug in a drain. There's enormous instability available, but the capping inversion is extremely strong. It's holding everything down. However, if that cap breaks, things will go nuts. Last night, parts of Brisbane saw small hail and intense rainfall from pulse thunderstorms. If temperatures reach 41 or 42 degrees on the coastal plain today, which would be record-breaking and highly unlikely, we do see significant pulse thunderstorm activity. Damaging winds, intense rainfall over short periods, last night S activity on steroids. The difference between 38 degrees and 41 degrees is massive in this scenario. Current forecasts suggest we want to reach those levels. Brisbane S official forecast is 36 degrees. That S not enough to break the cap. So storms through Brisbane and the Gold Coast are very unlikely. Further inland, weak, short-lived pulse thunderstorms are possible. Stronger, longer-lived activity might develop around Rockhampton, inland from the Capricornia coast. But nothing significant is expected today. The environment just isn't conducive. Low wind shear, strong capping, unfavourable setup. That said, if things do get going, they'll pop off dramatically. It's worth keeping an eye on conditions throughout the day, but don't expect it. Tomorrow and Wednesday, the thunderstorm picture changes. As the heat builds and the surface trough moves closer to the coast, we are looking at increasing severe thunderstorm potential. Tuesday afternoon and evening, isolated severe storms are possible through southern and southeast Queensland. Damaging winds, the primary threat. Large hail possible in the stronger cells. Wednesday is when things get more concerning. The combination of extreme heat, increasing moisture and a slow-moving surface trough creates an environment for organised severe thunderstorm development. Areas from the Darling Downs through to the Wide Bay region need to pay attention. Damaging winds, large hail and heavy rainfall are all possible. For those in these areas, secure loose items around the property. Bring in outdoor furniture. Check your emergency kit. Have a plan for where you will shelter if severe weather develops. Caravans are particularly vulnerable in severe wind events. If you are in a caravan and severe storms are forecast, relocate to solid shelter. Out west, the The remnants of tropical cyclone Lana are still dropping rainfall. Lana made landfall near Beagle Bay as a Category 2 cyclone late Saturday night. It's now tracking south of the Fitzroy River into the Pilbara-Kimberley border area. The System S maintaining itself better than expected due to the brown ocean effect. The brown ocean effect is exactly what it sounds like, an ocean of brown, an ocean of floodwater. When you get extreme rainfall over very flat terrain, which much of northern Australia is, you create inland seas, big puddles, extensive bodies of water. This fuels evaporation and further thunderstorm development. It keeps tropical systems alive longer than they should be over land. The Kimberley is very flat, particularly the southern Kimberley and northern Pilbara. This is a classic case of the brown ocean effect. Lana S weakening but slower than anticipated. It S expected to continue dropping significant rainfall through parts of Western Australia over the next couple of days. Half decent falls into the northern goldfields, north and northeast of Laverton and west of Wiluna. A thin corridor of falls between 50 to 150 millimetres is expected. It won't impact many people, but for those travelling between Laverton and Giles, there is substantial rainfall forecast. Flooding is possible in places. Get your travel done today if possible. And it is going to be very hot out there as well, before and after the rainfall. Some isolated locations like Kiwirrkura, Chukula and Rollina might see 50 to 120 millimetres. Very isolated, but still potential for decent flooding where it does occur. South Australia S not expecting anything from this system. It stays well to the west. Looking at the broader pattern over the next week, this heatwave dominates the forecast. Wednesday through Friday are the peak days. Then we get a southerly change moving through southeastern Australia over the weekend. That LL knocked temperatures back significantly. Melbourne dropping from the low 40s back to the mid-20s. Adelaide similar. That S a relief, but the change itself could trigger severe thunderstorms as it moves through. The northerly wind regime ahead of the change on Friday will be strong. 40 to 50 kilometre per hour northerlies, gusting higher in places. That S adding to the fire danger. If bushfires start in these conditions, they'll spread rapidly and be extremely difficult to control. For those in bushfire-prone areas, know your bushfire plan. If you are planning to leave, leave early. Friday morning at the latest if the fire danger is extreme or catastrophic. Don't wait until you see smoke. By then, roads can be blocked and conditions too dangerous. The monsoon trough across northern Australia remains active through this week. That means continuing shower and thunderstorm activity from the Kimberley right across to far north Queensland. The top end will see typical build-up conditions, afternoon and evening storms. Heavy rainfall in the stronger cells. Darwin and surrounds can expect daily storm activity. Morning sunshine giving way to building clouds by midday. Storms developing mid to late afternoon. Some producing intense rainfall over short periods. 77 millimetres overnight in Humpty Doo shows what these systems can produce. For those in the NT, this is normal wet season weather. You are used to it, but remain vigilant for flash flooding, particularly in low-lying areas and creek crossings. The rainfall is accumulating and catchments are getting saturated. Katherine region and the Gulf country will continue seeing scattered storms. The monsoon moisture is deep and persistent. This pattern continues through the week with no significant change expected. Now, let's talk practicalities for this heat wave because it is the most significant weather story for the majority of Australians this week. Hydration is absolutely critical. 2 litres of water minimum per day. More if you're reworking outdoors or doing any physical activity. Don't wait until you are thirsty. By then, you are already dehydrated. Keep water with you. Drink regularly. Limit outdoor activity during peak heat. Early morning or late evening for anything strenuous. If you must be outside during the day, take regular breaks in the shade. Wear light-coloured, loose-fitting clothing, hat and sunscreen always. Air conditioning is your friend in these conditions. If you don't have it, go somewhere that does. Shopping centres, libraries, community centres. Many councils open cooling centres during extreme heat events. Don't try to tough it out at home. If you are struggling, check on vulnerable people. The elderly are particularly at risk. So are young children, people with chronic medical conditions, those living alone. A quick phone call or visit can make a huge difference. Pets need attention too. Fresh water available at all times. Shade. Never leave animals in cars, even with windows cracked. The temperature inside a car climbs rapidly and can be fatal within minutes. For those working outdoors, employers have a duty of care. Regular breaks, access to water, shade available. If you're refilling unwell, stop. Heat exhaustion can progress to heat stroke quickly. Symptoms include heavy sweating, weakness, dizziness, nausea, headache. If you or a mate show these signs, get to a cool place immediately. Drink water. Seek medical help if symptoms don't improve. This heat wave is going to test infrastructure as well. Power grids will be under strain with air conditioning demand. We might see brownouts or planned outages in some areas. Have a plan if the power goes out. Know where you'll go to stay cool. Public transport can be uncomfortable in extreme heat. If you're recatching a train or bus, carry water. Be patient. Systems might be delayed due to heat-related issues. Tracks can buckle. Buses can overheat. For gardeners, this heat will stress plants severely. Deep watering in the evening is best if water restrictions allow it. Mulch helps retain moisture, but honestly, accept that some things might not make it through. It is extreme conditions. Looking at the models, there is good agreement on this heat event. Access, GFS and ECMWF all showing similar patterns. The blocking high to the east is strong and slow moving. The weak frontal systems to the south are well defined. This isn't a marginal forecast. It's high confidence. The only variable is exactly how hot it gets in each location. Urban heat island effects can add 2 to 3 degrees in city centres compared to official weather stations. Western suburbs of major cities often run hotter than coastal areas. Know your local conditions. After this heat wave breaks, we're re-looking at more settled conditions through southeastern Australia. Temperatures returning to seasonal norms, maybe even slightly below for a few days. That southerly change over the weekend will be welcome relief. Northern Australia continues its wet season pattern through February. No significant changes expected. It's the wet. You'll have green trees and full dams. But the persistence of this monsoon trough and the flooding already in place means ongoing vigilance is required. For northwestern Queensland particularly, the flood situation needs close monitoring. Those river systems take weeks to peak and weeks to recede. The catchments are saturated. Any additional significant rainfall translates directly to increased flooding. Check the Bureau of Meteorology flood warnings daily. Plan your movements accordingly. This is a significant weather week for Australia. Extreme heat through the southeast. Ongoing flooding concerns in the northwest. Active monsoon through the north. Severe thunderstorm potential through Queensland. Stay informed. Check the Bureau of Meteorology website regularly. Monitor local emergency services on social media for updates. Have your plans ready. Know what you will do if conditions deteriorate in your area. For those in heatwave areas, this is serious but manageable if you are prepared. UV dealt with hot weather before. These temperatures are more extreme than usual, but the principles are the same. Stay cool, stay hydrated, look after vulnerable people. Don't take unnecessary risks. For those in flood-affected areas, your experience with wet season conditions is valuable, but don't become complacent. Water levels can rise quickly. Conditions can change. If authorities issue evacuation orders, follow them. This weather pattern isn't unprecedented, but it is significant. It deserves your attention and respect. Not panic, but proper preparation and awareness. Wednesday is going to be the peak day for heat across the southeast. That S, when you'll see those temperatures in the low to mid 40s across South Australia, Victoria and inland New South Wales. Thursday stays hot, but might drop a degree or two in some areas. Friday, we re-waiting on that southerly change. The timing of Friday's change matters for fire danger. If it comes through in the morning, that S better. If it holds off until late afternoon, we've got northerly winds all day with extreme heat. That is the worst case scenario for fire weather. The latest forecasts suggest a late afternoon or evening change, which is concerning. Fire authorities will be monitoring this closely. They'll adjust fire danger ratings as new information comes in. Check these ratings daily. They rebased on temperature, humidity, wind speed and fuel moisture. They reliable indicators of risk. Total fire bans are enforceable. No no fires whatsoever, not just open fires, anything that could spark a fire. Angle grinders, welding, machinery in dry grass. Penalties are significant, and rightly so. One spark in these conditions can destroy properties and lives. If you are in an area under total fire ban and you see smoke or fire, call 000 immediately. Don T assumes someone else has reported it. Early detection and rapid response are critical. For the thunderstorm potential through Queensland on Wednesday, the setup is complex. We've got extreme instability, we've got moisture, we've got a surface trough. What we don't have is strong wind shear, which is needed for supercell development. So we're re-looking more at multi-cell clusters and pulse storms rather than long-lived supercells. But Don T, let that fool you. Multi-cell storms can still produce damaging winds and large hail. They can drop intense rainfall, causing flash flooding. They were just less predictable in their movement and duration than supercells. The areas most at risk are the Darling Downs, Granite Belt and southern inland areas on Wednesday afternoon and evening. Brisbane and the coast will be watching to see if the trough moves close enough to trigger activity. Current indications suggest coastal areas might miss the worst of it, but that could change. Severe thunderstorm warnings will be issued by the Bureau if storms develop. These warnings give specific locations and timeframes. They read your signal to take shelter and secure property. Don T, ignore them. This week tests Australia S weather extremes, from flooding in the north to heatwave in the south, from tropical moisture to desert heat. It is why weather forecasting in this country is never boring. We've got every climate zone, every weather pattern, all operating simultaneously. For those celebrating Australia Day today, conditions are actually pretty good across most of the country. The extreme heat hasn't arrived yet. The flooding up north is ongoing, but not worsening dramatically today. It's a decent day to be outdoors in most areas. Enjoy it, because this week is going to be challenging for many regions. But if we re-prepared, if we look after each other, if we respect what these weather systems can do, we'll get through it fine. That S, the forecast. Extreme heat building Wednesday through Friday across southeastern Australia. Ongoing flooding concerns northwestern Queensland. Active monsoon northern Australia. Severe thunderstorm potential Queensland midweek. Stay safe, stay informed.